The old watchman who owned the building, a true Mumbai story. The Man at the Gate, Mumbai, 2014, inspired by real events. Lokhandwala and Derry West, a quiet street, a tall building named Ocean Heights, 30 to luxury flats, imported tiles, German lifts, 24-hour water, reserved parking, and at the entrance gate, a small wooden chair, old, fragile, and half-broken. Sitting on that chair, every day and every night, was an old man in a faded brown uniform. His name was Hari Singh, but no one really asked. His face was weathered like someone who had lived many lives. White stubble covered his cheeks and his eyes. Those eyes never quite looked at you. They looked through you, silently, with a strange stillness, as if holding back stories too heavy to tell. Hari had been the building's night watchman for more than 20 years. No one knew exactly when he had joined. The older residents said he had always been there even before they moved in. The newer ones never asked. To most people, he was just the chowkidar. Morning routine. Every morning, sharp at 6 o'clock a.m., Hari would go behind the guardroom and fill a kettle with water. He had an old gas stove, black with age. He'd light it carefully, the way one might light an old lamp before a prayer. Slowly, he would prepare his tea, cutting ginger, crushing cardamom, adding too much sugar. At 6:45 a.m., the milkman would arrive. Hari would help him carry crates inside. At 7 o'clock, the first wave of residents would come down, some for walks, some for yoga, some to send their kids to school. Good morning, Hari Kaka, little Ria would wave. Hari always smiled at her. Just her, no one else. By 8 o'clock, the maids would arrive. Buses would honk. Cars would roar to life. But Hari sat silently, nodding when someone greeted him, standing up slowly when a car entered, opening the gate with tired arms. The laughing residents. Some residents were kind. Mrs. Mehta from Flat 8B always offered him a biscuit during Diwali. Young Tanish from 3C had once given him an old jacket during winter, but most just passed by, and some laughed. "Yeah, Deco Chowkidar Baba, still alive," one teenager joked. Another once asked, "Kaka, don't you ever get bored sitting here all your life? Like, what do you even think about?" Hari had smiled, a thin, unreadable smile. He didn't reply, because what would he say? That once, long ago, he had stood on the other side of gates like this. That he hadn't always been a watchman. That life, cruel, unpredictable, and strangely poetic, had brought him here. No one asked. And so, he didn't tell. There was one person who spoke to him daily, Meena, the tea vendor's daughter. She was 19, ran her father's stall nearby, and had dreams bigger than the sky. Every morning at 9:30, she'd bring him a cup of hot chai, fresh, sweet, with extra ginger, just how he liked it. "You eat anything today, Kaka?" she'd ask. Hari would shake his head. "Whatever's in your heart, share it with us in the comments. You wait here, I'll get vada pav." She never asked why he never went home. She never laughed when he dozed off at the gate. She just treated him like a person, and that was enough. One night, in late July, the Mumbai rains came crashing down. Lightning tore the sky in half, and the city turned to water. Hari sat at the gate, soaked, shivering. "Why don't you take shelter?" a passerby shouted. Hari didn't respond. His umbrella had broken years ago, but he didn't move. His post was the gate. His duty was the gate. He had watched people walk past him for 20 years, watched children grow into adults, watched couples fight, grow old, move out, watched new cars, new furniture, new phones. Everything changed, except Hari. The rumors. Some said he had no family. Some said he used to be a school teacher. Others claimed he had lost everything in the 2001 stock market crash. One man once said he'd seen a photo in Hari's wallet of him shaking hands with someone famous, but no one believed that. How can a man like him know anyone important? Hari never confirmed, never denied. He just listened and went on with his day. The accident. Then one morning, it happened. 6 o'clock a.m. Rain-soaked ground. Empty streets. Hari was not at the gate. The milkman noticed first. Then the newspaper boy. Finally, Meena came running. Hari was found behind the guardroom, collapsed, his body cold. A heart attack. In the early morning hours, alone. No ID, no documents, just one trunk. Inside that trunk was a letter, a sealed envelope, with the words, "To whoever finds this, the truth must come out." 3 months later, the trunk. It was an old wooden trunk, dusty, scratched, with iron corners and a broken latch. The residents stood around it, whispering. He never said he had anything. What could be inside? Maybe it's just clothes. But Meena, she remained silent, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the sealed envelope on top. It was yellowed with age, the kind of paper that held more than just ink. It held weight. On the front, in clean, deliberate handwriting, "To whoever finds this, the truth must come out." Meena looked at the building manager. He nodded. She opened it. The letter, it wasn't just one letter. It was a collection of papers neatly folded, organized, and tied together with a red string. The first page had a title. "My name is not Hari Singh." Everyone froze. The letter continued. "My real name is Harishvardhan Singh Rathore. I was born in Udaipur, Rajasthan, in a palace now turned hotel. I was not always poor. I was not always invisible." The paper shook in Meena's hands as she read further. "In 1983, I moved to Mumbai with dreams and money. I had inherited wealth, land, and most of all pride. I invested in real estate. Ocean Heights was my project, my dream. But dreams are fragile in this city." The silence was heavy. Residents stared, stunned, as if the bricks of their own building had suddenly started whispering secrets. The fall. "I trusted the wrong people. My business partner betrayed me. Legal papers were forged. Properties were transferred. I fought. I lost. I fought again. Then came the fire." Meena's voice cracked as she read the next lines. "In 1992, a suspicious fire destroyed the office. All records gone. The court dismissed my claims. Ocean Heights was officially no longer mine." Mrs. Mehta gasped. "Wait, this building?" He said it was his. Meena nodded slowly. "Yes, he built this place." The disappearance. The letter continued. "After the fire, my name was dragged through mud. Reporters called me a fraud. Friends disappeared. My wife left. My son, I don't know where he is. I had nothing left. So I came here not to guard the gate, but to guard what was once mine." The words hit hard. This man, who they had all ignored, joked about, walked past, had once owned everything they now lived in. Why didn't he tell anyone? The last page of the letter read, "I could have screamed the truth. I could have fought until the very end. But sometimes, dignity is silent. Sometimes, when everything is taken from you, the only thing left is your watchfulness. So I watched. Send this video to someone who understands silent faces. I watched my building grow. I watched lives happen. I became a shadow at the gate, and in that shadow, I found peace." Meena's voice faded. Everyone was still. The revelation. In the trunk, besides the letter, were a few things. A property blueprint with Harishvardhan's name still on it. An old, faded photograph, him standing with a man in a suit. Behind them, the Ocean Heights foundation stone. A diary filled with daily notes about the building's residents, every name, every child's birthday, every maintenance issue. He had not been just a watchman. He had been the silent caretaker of his dream. Aftermath. Within days, the news spread. Old Watchman was the original owner. Hidden history behind Ocean Heights. Billion-rupee building built by man who died unknown. A lawyer came forward. So did a distant nephew, claiming relation. But Meena, she had the original letter, and she had one request. Let his name be remembered. What happened next? A month later, a brass plaque was placed at the gate. It read, "In memory of Harishvardhan Singh Rathore, 19502014, the man who built this dream and guarded it till the end." The broken wooden chair was kept in the lobby, cleaned, polished, and untouched. Ria still waved at it every morning. Tanish now greeted the new watchman with a smile. And Meena? She opened a new tea stall just across the street. Its name? Rathore Chaiwala. 2 months later, Ocean Heights had changed. The brass plaque at the gate was polished every week. The broken chair in the lobby had become a symbol of memory, of loss, of honor. Some residents now asked the new watchman his name. Some even smiled. But for Mina, something still felt unfinished. There was one part of the letter that hadn't left her mind. My son, I don't know where he is. No name, no photo, no hint. Just those 8 words. If your eyes felt even a little heavy, don't forget to hit like. The search. Mina couldn't sleep. Every night, she stared at the photo from the trunk. The one where Harishvardhan stood beside a man in a suit. In the background, the Ocean Heights board stood proud. She zoomed in. The suited man had a name tag, Mr. Nair, City Projects PVT Ltd. The next morning, Mina visited old city records. With the help of a college friend studying law, she tracked down the company. It had dissolved years ago, but its files were stored in a dusty archive room in Dater. There, she found it. Builder profile. Harishvardhan S. Rathore, family contact next of kin. Heir of Rathore's son, born 1987. Last known address, Chembur, Mumbai. Her heart raced. He was real. A door that never opened. Mina reached Chembur the next day. A quiet street. A crumbling old building. She climbed to the 2nd floor and knocked on a faded wooden door marked to be Rathore. No answer. She asked the neighbor, an old lady with cataract eyes. Arab, he is gone. 10 to 12 years have passed. His name was mentioned in the newspapers. There was a scam in some tech company. She didn't know more, but she remembered one thing. He used to write poetry. That boy. Deep pain in his eyes. Finding Arab. It took 3 more weeks. Finally, Mina got a message from a contact in Delhi. Arab Rathore, age 27, now working in a small NGO in Dehradun under the name Arab Sinha. She traveled there by train alone, but determined. It was a foggy morning in November when she found him teaching computer basics to school children in a tin-roofed shed. He looked nothing like his father. Clean-shaven, wore glasses, soft voice, but his eyes, they were the same. Haunted. Your father was a king without a kingdom. Arab sat in silence as Mina told him the story. From the building, the trunk, the letter, the chair, everything. She handed him the diary. And the photo. He didn't speak for 20 minutes. Then, his voice cracked. He waited for me. Mina nodded. He never stopped. Even when he lost everything, he remembered you. Arab's hands clenched the photo. I thought he gave up on me. No, Mina said gently. He gave up everything else, but not you. The return. A week later, Arab stood in front of Ocean Heights. Same gate, same building, but everything looked smaller now. He walked slowly to the brass plaque, ran his fingers over the name. Harishvardhan Singh Rathore, 195020014. A small crowd gathered. No one recognized him, until Mina stepped forward. This is his son, she said. Gasps, whispers, and then silence. Arab looked up, tears welling in his eyes. He never lived inside, but he was the building. What Arab did next? He didn't claim the property, didn't ask for money, didn't sue anyone. Instead, he made one quiet request. Turn that broken guardroom into a reading library for the kids of the maids, drivers, watchmen, and he gave it a name, the Rathore Room. Legacy. A year later, Ocean Heights had something new. A small glass-windowed library next to the gate. Free books, old computers, beanbags, solar fans, and on the inside wall a framed poem, written by Arab. The man at the gate. He watched not to guard, but to remember. He sat not in duty, but in silence. He had lost a building, but never his soul. And through every child who walks this gate, his dream walks in again. The news of the old watchman Hari's death shook the entire area. Many people gathered for his last rites. Among the crowd was Arav. The boy Hari had once told stories about the one he loved more than his own life. Arav had grown up and returned to the city after hearing about Hari's demise. But he had no idea that the man, who had raised him with love and devotion, had left behind such a big truth. Arav stood in the crowd, staring at the pyre with teary eyes. Mina, who sold tea in the building, stood beside him. She had taken care of Hari for years, like a daughter. Her eyes were moist too. After the last rites, Arav stayed quiet for a long time. He kept sitting in the corner of the broken building. He watched the children playing, remembered how Hari used to tell them stories, and how he himself had once sat here with his school bag, sharing tea with his father in a steel cup. A few days later, Arav met an elderly man who used to be a friend of his father. Hari, that man was frail but had sharp eyes. He handed over an old rusted tin box to Arav and said, "Your father had given me this years ago, said to give it to you when the time comes. I think now is the right time." Arav opened the box with trembling hands. Inside were old documents, photographs, and a property file documents of that very building. And to Arav's shock, all papers were in his name. The building was legally his. He couldn't believe it. His father, the same man who lived in a corner of that building with just a mat and a stove, had registered the entire building in Arav's name years ago. When Arav told Mina, she was equally surprised. She had no clue that the old man had such a big truth hidden behind his silence and smile. Over the next few days, Arav got the building renovated. A new coat of paint, repaired rooms, clean corridors. He opened a free library for the kids, a health center for the elderly, and kept the tea corner Mina ran exactly the way it was. That corner was still alive with the same warmth and love. Arav would often sit there silently, sipping tea, but his heart had started to feel something strange, a mix of fulfillment and emptiness. One morning, Mina came looking for Arav but couldn't find him. She searched the whole building rooftop, library, tea corner, but he wasn't there. On the counter of the tea stall, there was a small envelope. It had Mina's name on it. Trembling, she opened the envelope and found a short note. "Mina, I couldn't serve my father, but you took care of him for so many years like a daughter. You were the only light in his last days. Today, this building, which my father gave me, I now give to you. Take care of it the way you cared for him. Maybe one day I'll come back, or maybe not, but you'll always find me in the laughter of those kids, in the smell of tea, in the silence of this place." Arav. Along with the letter was the property transfer document. The building was now in Mina's name. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but her lips had a faint smile. Arav had left silently, without a goodbye, but he had completed the story his father had started. The building now belonged to the one who truly deserved it. In that forgotten corner of the city, where once lived an old watchman named Hari, now stood a thriving haven for many where stories were still told, children still laughed, and a cup of tea still carried the warmth of 3 lives.